All right, welcome back. We will learn how we can insert data into table. And the query or the syntax would be, syntax is very simple. We use insert into command and the name of the table. And in our first bracket, we will mention our columns, and then values. We will add some values for the columns, right? Let's have a look how we can do it. Okay, I'm on my MySQL workbench, and if I just click on my connection instance, and this is my query tab, and if I just a little bit zoom it, and this is my table that we create, database that we created, shop, and we have a table called members. And now we want to add some data into members, and this is very interesting topic, right? Basically, this is the one of main topic that how we can add data in our tables, right? So let's have a look how we can add tables. So first, if I just say use my database called shop, and it's optional. If you don't want to use shop, that's optional. Basically, it works, and I'll show you how it works. Okay, now how we can do it. So first of all, if I just say show columns from, we can say shop members, and if I just commented this out, and it will work. There it is. Now this is our database, and this is the table for the database, and it has around 1 2 3 4 5 6 columns, and which have their own data types, right? So this is a code, this is a query for showing columns, as I mentioned. Let me just get rid of it. Okay, now how we can use the insert query to insert data, right? Okay, let me just run this again. It's empty now, and if I just say insert, we'll use the insert key, insert into, then we'll write the name of the table, which is members in our case, and I want to insert into members, and then I'll open a bracket, right, and then values, and then again bracket, and then semicolon. Basically, this is the syntax. If I just remove the indentation or breaks, so you can see the syntax very simply. So insert into members, and what it does, this bracket, here we will mention our name of the columns of our table, and here we will add some values for the columns. So I'm basically breaking it, indenting it, so we can write more queries so you can see them clearly, right? Beauty of code, a kind of, but we can manage them. We might have shortcut keys to make it beautiful. I think here we can use edit, format, beauty of code, and it's also making it like that. Okay, so what about the column names? Again, if I just go and then say show columns from members and run it. Okay, let me just comment this out. There it is. We have columns, right? And then what we do is write the names of the columns here. Now what about the member ID? If you remember, we just added auto increment in member ID, so we don't need to add member ID here. It will automatically add ID with increment of 1, right? We will see how it works. So let me just write the column name, or it is first name, and then comma backticks, gender, again comma backticks, we have date of birth, and again comma and backticks, we have finally created at, right? We have mentioned 4 columns here. We just wrote 4 columns here. And what about their value? The value would be in string, so we'll put single quotes. If it is an integer, for example, you have a data called price, so you don't need to put single quotes. You can simply add the value. For example, it's 23 or 2300, right? Okay, what about our first name? For example, in our case, the first name is Bilal, and what about gender? He is male. And what about his date of birth? So what about the date syntax? First we will put the year, month, and then date. So for example, year is Bilal's date of birth is in 1995, and the month is February 02 and date, for example, 25. And finally, what about the created date? You can hard code the date. For example, you write the date like year or month and then the date. But we also have a built-in function in MySQL, which is I'll use the basic the built-in function called now. What it does, now will basically get the current date from our server and then put it in our column, add it in our column. This is a shortcut key, or you can say alias or built-in function for current date. All right, now let's click on the execute button to see how it works. This is our exciting query, right? And if I just click on execute, oh, we just have an error. Let me just figure out real quick. I think we need to comment this for now. Okay, if I just say, let me just use the database, because we're not calling database over here. Okay, and now if I just run it, all right, I think it's created, but we have a warning for created area. Ignore it for now, but I think it works. So what next? If we just comment this code, for example, let me just comment this out, and then if I just, instead of show columns, if I just write my new query, select asterisk from, and then the name of the table. We will discuss select in more details in our upcoming videos, but for now we just write select asterisk from member. That means select all from members. And if you just execute it, there we go. We have member ID 1, name is the first name is Bilal, and the gender, date of birth, and we got everything, right? Let me just modify this a little bit. If I just get rid of the comments from here, you can write it like that, shop.members, right? But for now I just used use shop. Okay, let me just change the values. For example, this time instead of Bilal, if I just say Ali, and he's male, his date of birth is on March around 30, and I want date now, and or I can add for example current date, for example any date, for example 12 and 2000, or it's very 2018. And then let me just run this, and I use select all from members. Let me just execute the query. There we go, we just got another data, right? So that's how we can insert data to our database, to our table basically. We use the insert and into in the name of the table, the columns and the values, right? Now in our next video, this is I think a little bit long video. In our next video we'll be learn how we can insert multiple data at once using the same query, right? And that will be pretty easy. Let's do it.